Hey, everybody, welcome to the Organic Podcast. I am Kia with my co host, Tamitra. Tonight's topic is all about parenting. How do you parent? I am 37 years old, so I come from a different generation of parenting. I have with us my niece, and I'm going to let her introduce herself to you. Go right on ahead.
Hi, my name is Tamitra, but I go by T. Everyone calls me T. I am 22 years old, and I'm a mom of about to be two.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So you are currently with baby now. How far are you?
I am 2 months.
2 months. So you don't know what you're having just yet, right?
Not yet. Probably in around very soon. I should know.
Okay, awesome, awesome. You also have a 1-year-old little girl named Crystal. All right, tell us a little bit about her personality.
Well, it just started coming in. I don't know if that makes sense, but it did. Seems like it came in overnight. One minute she's just, being a baby, and the next minute she's full on walking, talking, saying no to me, doing everything that it just amazes me every day. It's something new. So
Okay, awesome. And I know she's only one, but being a parent thus far of a 1-year-old, would you say that you kind of had um a good idea of what it would be like as being a mom?
I have the mostly it's you get how can I say this? I got most of it, but I know it's going to change throughout preteen, teen, adult. It's going to change. It's like I think I have the baby version down packed by now.
Okay, awesome. And is she more of a mommy's girl or a daddy's girl?
Depends on who has the snacks.
That's most kids. Most kids are always looking for the snacks. What are some of her favorite snacks?
She usually really you talk about Crystal anything.
And with her being one, is she all eating like solid foods from the table?
She eats from everything from the table. She loves fruits and vegetables, which really like throws me off. And used to kids never wanted to eat their fruits or vegetables, but she loves them. And the weird thing that she does is that she'll hold things in her mouth that she doesn't like, but she'll still try and eat it. So she doesn't spit it out. She just holds it in her mouth for a long time, so she likes it and then eat it. I just recently brought her little Gerber snacks, and we realized we had to season them, so she'll eat them. And like little fruit trays from Gerber, you have to put a little seasoning in them, and then she'll eat them.
Okay, well that's a little baby with some soul. She knows she like her stuff seasoned right. We don't want no bland food over here. No matter how old you are, we don't want our food to be bland. Okay, that is awesome. So, what would you say are some of the hardships of being a younger parent?
Um, it's been fairly easy because I've had help. It's really, and when you get help from the older generation people, you get a lot of new ideas, better ways of controlling everything. The hardest part will be just changing up your lifestyle once you have a baby. But I guess that's for anybody.
Okay. When you say you had to change your lifestyle in order to, are you referring to just being a parent in general? You had to change your lifestyle, or was it just things that kind of like came casually with being a new mom?
Things that like came casually, like you have to get ready 2 hours before. You have to always have a babysitter if you want to go out. If you have to think about how you're gonna get home, like things like that. You can't. You just be like you can't just go out and then be like, oh, I'm just gonna stay the night here with my sister or something like that. You can't just do that. You have to be like, the baby needs to go in her crib.
Mm-hmm.
I need to do the whole night wind down routine, things like that.
Okay. When you talk about babysitting and childcare, things like that, I know myself with having kids, I was very particular about who I left my child with, how long I left my child there. Even when I picked my child up, I would look for certain things, even if it was a family member or a friend or daycare that was, supervising my child, I would still just look for certain things because, this day and age, you just can't be too sure about who you leave your children with. So, what are some of the things that you look for when leaving your daughter, for a night, or if you and her father go out for a couple of days? What are some things you look for in someone that's going to keep your child, whether it's a sitter? What are some of those things that you're looking for?
I'm just looking for trust, and when it comes for me, like, I don't really trust many people because I guess I'm still in the new baby phase. I really don't trust many people. She really doesn't spend the night over anyone's house except for yours,
Lucky me.
And she really, I trust those. I don't really trust like daycares or sitters or anything like that because I just don't know them to a certain extent, and you never know the capability of a person until it happens. And I don't know, I've been on Facebook too much and on a whole bunch of other stuff too much, and I've seen too many, this daycare, this babysitter did this, and I know my daughter, I know her attitude, I'm not even gonna do that to someone or even put her in that situation. But there's been a lot of family members that I've let her stay with for like a few hours. Well, not a lot, really. It's just like my boyfriend's parents, trust them 100% because they got him. And then I trust definitely my family, everyone who basically babysitted me. Yeah, of course, because I already know how that goes. Some people you just don't know. I'm still getting a feel for everything. I'm trying to trust people, but mostly I just want to keep her with me. She stays with me most of the time.
Okay. So have you ever seen that commercial? I think it's a Love Pampers commercial, and it's like first time mom, they get the baby together, and the sitter is coming over, and they have the bottle warmer and all of the blankets and the swings and the diapers and every toy and everything that the baby will need, and they make sure that sitter has that with that first baby. And then it says second baby, and they just give that sitter one little diaper and they fly out the door. Do you think that is going to be your mentality with getting ready to have another baby? You already have a 1-year-old, so it's kind of like that 1-year-old, we like to sometimes say, unfortunately, is the test baby. So that baby got to run through a lot of the tests. Now this second one is just like, okay, here's that one diaper, I'm gone.
Yeah, I feel like the first child is definitely the test baby. And I know I'm going to tell her this when she gets older. I'm sorry, you are the test baby. But I feel like they're the most taken care of too also. But I feel like all babies are taken care of the same. But like, with the second child, I'm all like, don't worry about it. I'm like, I already know she or he is going to go through this amount of Pampers, this amount of that. And no, they don't need a diaper warmer or a pamper or white warmer, none of that stuff. I know that the first time I ever gave Crystal to someone to watch, I packed everything. Everything.
She did because it was me. And I had a bottle warmer for her. I think I had a wipe warmer. I felt like 6 bags of Pampers. I had 22 outfits, and this was a brand new baby. She was only maybe like 3 weeks old. I had like 22 outfits. I didn't know where she thought we were going because we weren't leaving the house. I had everything. So I can.
My brother, he really wanted to pull me out the house because he was like, "It's my birthday, come on." I was like, "I don't know. If I do, you're gonna have to help me take all this stuff over there to somebody that I trust because this is not gonna happen."
Yes, but I do remember that. He brought the whole house. Oh, okay, awesome. Well, I know you and your daughter and your baby-to-be father is still very much together. And so have you guys ever discussed corporal punishment or how you'll discipline your kids as they get older?
Yeah, we've been going a little back and forth. Nothing too heavy, but we just been like, oh, all right. So there is me. I'm gonna start with me because I know me. There's me. I'm the type of person that I do feel like sometimes you spare the rod, you spoil the child. That's just how I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe in talking to the child first, but sometimes some kids need a little pop on their hands or on it. But I just feel that way. But her father, he feels like, well, he's never had a whooping and he's turned out perfectly fine. So if not better, so he just believes in, like, if you talk to them, you be stern and you don't go back on what you say and you just talk to them, they'll understand it that way. And so we just go back and forth and see what works for Crystal. I tried to pop her, but I didn't like that much. So I think I'm just gonna stick to talking to her, timeouts, and like just taking things away. I think that hurts more than whoopings.
All right. Well, I definitely came from the generation where it was spank, whoop, beat. I don't even think it was take anything away. It was just always, spankings or and whoopings and things like that. But I grew up in a single family household with just my mother, and I had 2 older sisters. And so I do know us girls, a lot of times we tried her, and I think it is kind of like a generational thing. You go by what you were taught. And I do believe that our mother was taught about spankings and whoopings and punishment and things like that. So that's definitely the way she went with raising me and my sisters.
That's how my mom did too. So I mean, it's for each his own. But I do feel like I learned most of my lessons even before I got a whooping. So I understood. It's just like I came home and I was like, oh, now I have to get, a whooping and I have to be on punishment for a few weeks. So I definitely understand the fact that you can learn a lesson by getting talked to.
Okay. I like to think now that with raising kids my own, spanking, I did spankings. I like to think that if I have any more kids going forward, I don't really know, because I've learned differently now, and I've been looking more into like the background on spankings and or whoopings, however you want to call it, or some people even call it beatings.
Yeah, I totally get that, because like I feel that once you have a kid and then you whoop them so many times, they're gonna get used to that. It's gonna get it's gonna be used to that. And then I just feel like we need to raise children by, like, if we're raising them to go into society, we gotta raise them how society will raise them. And so people, I know for Black people it's different, but that's a whole nother topic. But I feel like you don't go to the courthouse and then you get a spanking and then you go to jail. I feel like you go to jail. Like I understand punishment and grounding and all that stuff, but I don't understand what's the point of. I just feel like you're kind of expressing your anger onto the child at that point, and I feel like sometimes.
And that is I agree with you to a point, because I would always tell myself or the kid's dad to never spank them when you're angry, because when you're angry and you're spanking them, that it's more out of your anger than it is out of the discipline that you're trying to give them. But now I kind of feel a little torn. Like I spoke to my mom, which is your grandmother, a little earlier today, and she told me my sister's son, who's 4, principal called and stated that he was spitting on people in school. My instinct is to be like, no, whoop his butt.
Yeah.
But then it's like after you spank him or after you whoop him, then what?
Yeah,
Then what? But then you also, it's like you instill this fear in your children that they know if they do something wrong, they're going to get that pain of the spanking. But for some kids, spanking works, and for some it doesn't. But because I've been looking into like the whole whooping and spanking and where it originated from, of course it goes back to slavery time. And how our ancestors were whipped or beat or spanked because they weren't in compliance as to what their slave masters thought that they should be in. So it kind of it's like it's some grayish area in there for me. It's definitely a black side, it's definitely a white side, but it is some grayish area in there with me. So I personally, I don't really know where I stand. I can do both, I can spank if I feel as if I need to spank, but then some things I don't think calls for spanking. Some things I do think
it's like to me, I never want. I'm not gonna say never because that's a solid word. So I just want to be like, I don't know, because there's a level where it comes from spanking, and then there's abuse, and then that's where I kind of needed to realize on my own and figure out what, and
and there's a thin line for that when you think about spanking your child and abusing your child, because we live here in Virginia, and there is, and I recently found this out, that you can do corporal punishment on your children. However, the law states that it has to be open hand and only on their bottom. Anywhere else, the state of Virginia considers that to be abuse. So like it's a very, very thin line between, spanking and beatings. But I think a lot of different generations, depending on how old you are, because if you was to probably ask your grandma, who's what, 64 next Saturday, I'm pretty sure she'll be like, beat the child.
But that's another thing. My boyfriend, his parents are around like 50. Well, they're not really that far up there, but they're like 50. I don't want to give out any ages. They probably don't want me to give out any ages, but they're in their 50s, and so they're around the same generation as her. But he has never had a spanking. I'm not saying that they never spanked any of their kids, but he was only given talk. He was only like sternly spoken to, and even now, like they'll still, like, if it's something that really needs to be done, they'll sternly speak to him, and then it's you can see that he still has the respect there for his parents, and it worked. It worked because he's an awesome person. So I feel like it worked. So
shout out to your baby daddy, Kelsey. He is very awesome, and I honestly, I don't see him ever giving his parents problems to where they had to spank him, because he's very quiet. And sometimes I be like checking myself, like, am I musty or does my breath stink? Because he don't say nothing to me, but I mean he definitely talks to Lee, so clearly he's very one cool dude.
Yeah, they're gamers.
Awesome. Okay, so now, talking a little bit more on discipline, does the way you were raised play a part as to how you would discipline your kids?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. And I that's why I stopped listening to his stories a lot, because I'm like, how would that have played out with me? And then I'm like, oh, that would have went completely different. So I'm just like, I do know that I really, really, really want to try my best not to give out spankings or just do anything while I'm angry, because I do know that sticks with a child, a person. Especially, I know zodiacs don't really go into everything, but I take zodiac seriously, and my daughter's a Scorpio just like me, so I feel like she's kind of like me, and so I know, like, in situations how I felt, and sometimes I just wanted to be listened to, and instead of angry talking to me, I just wanted to sit down and have a conversation and let people know, like, let my parents know that I actually am trying my best. I know you're trying your best. I totally get it. But most of the reasons I got in trouble is because I really wasn't listened to a lot, and then I really wasn't spoken to like I had a voice. So that's something I want to give to my daughter. I want her to know that she does have a voice, and I do want to listen to you first without anger. I just want to have her back before I have anyone else's.
Okay. So with that being said, you want to make sure that your kids have a voice because you felt as if you did not have one growing up. And so that would kind of take us to the point where you know how some parents would say, "I'm your parent, not your friend." So how do you feel on that standpoint as far as like, you know, do you want to be your kids' parents or do you want to be their friends or do you feel like you can be both?
I feel like you have to be a little bit of both at some time in their lives. You have to be a little bit of both because honestly, kids are gonna do whatever they want at the end of the day. I know for a fact that there's opportunity. I had many, many opportunities of doing whatever I wanted to do, just to do anything, and it's just not like in a bad way, but like I couldn't eat snacks. Like candy a lot. So it's just like I had plenty of opportunities where I could have just went inside the kitchen.
Which I find to be very odd because your mother is my sister and she always had some snacks. Always.
Yeah, we weren't really allowed to eat that many of the snacks. We had snacks, but after dinner you have your snack. After school you have your snack. But it's never like, oh, candy. Like, we never had, And I had plenty of opportunities being home alone, going to get my snacks or inviting my friends over, doing all that stuff. But I just didn't because I just felt like it was wrong and I need to call first. But instead of, like, I just feel like kids going to do whatever they want to do. And once you teach them, it's just at that point in time, like, you already taught them, it's already done. Believe in what you already did. And then just sit there and talk to them and be like, hey, did you want to have friends over? Because I was mostly, I don't want to say depressed because I don't like giving words to it. Because if I give words to it, I have to claim it and own it. So I just was one of those kids that was always alone, kind of, sort of. But I was okay with it. I was cool with it. I'm a loner. But I just felt like everything in my childhood was kind of stopped because I didn't want to be, I'm going into a lot of other things, but I didn't want to be like my older sister. Not saying that she was bad, I'm just saying that what I heard. And I know now that we talk, half that stuff didn't even happen. Half that stuff didn't even happen. And it's just like, you get the warning, you don't need to be like your sister all the time. And so I was trying so hard as a kid to not be that. So I was trying too hard to be so good that I didn't enjoy my childhood. And what was the question again?
Well, you pretty much, you summed it up. You did a good job with that. Now, as a young parent, is there anything you wish you would have known before you had kids?
Yeah. It hurt a lot.
Well, I told you that. I think that probably was the first thing I told you. It's gonna hurt.
It hurt a lot, but no, I guess I was lucky to be one of the mature for my age. Mature for my age because I don't know. It was an adjustment because now you have diapers to change, another person to make sure they ate. But my daughter, she's going to remind you. She's going to remind you. So it was just like, for me, it's just like having a person, another person that's tagging along with me. But I was always looking out for my brothers and sisters, so it was easy.
Okay. So I know as a parent, we tend to give our kids the things that we didn't have or receive from our parents. Is that the case for you?
Yeah. I didn't have much growing up. I sometimes, I don't want to put no one on the spot because I know everybody's going to be like, you put me on the spot. But I sometimes didn't even have a home to stay in. And so sometimes I would be like, I want to make sure she has a place to stay, always. I want to make sure she's never walking the street or sleeping on the street. I want to make sure she always have food and never worried about the next meal. I always want to make sure she just knows and doesn't have to wake up one day and be so scared about where she's going to sleep. And so I shouldn't have to worry about that because I'm just like, I'm gonna do it. I know I'm gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
I got it. It's gonna get done. That's never gonna happen there ever.
Mm-hmm.
But I know you were probably asking about like, oh, do I want to give her toys or candy and stuff like that? But I didn't grow up with most of those things. I really didn't, and I didn't barely grew up with that many clothes. Like when we did have it, we had it good, but when we lost it, it was bad. So it was a lot, and my mom tried her best. But I just know I'm gonna try a little harder to make sure everything goes right for my daughter.
Okay. Well, that's good stuff. So, we're gonna switch it up a little bit and talk a little bit about religion.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's so many different
Mm-hmm.
religions. I mean, you can be Christian, you can be Jewish, you can be, Buddhist, you can be, you can be, I don't know, you can worship a cat, a cow, whatever.
Yeah.
So there's so many different religions and so many different, people. Some people may say, well, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
You have people who worship statues or God or whatever the case may be. Talking about your religious or your spirituality beliefs or your spiritual beliefs, sorry, what is it that you and your daughter's father plan on teaching your kids? Like, how do you incorporate that into is that something you guys do daily, or how do you plan on teaching her about that?
Right now we're not really doing anything. I know that sounds terrible, but honestly, I just want her to figure that out for herself. I feel like I can't, cause I feel like my mom always told me to say my grace, say my prayers and things like that, and I do. And I feel okay with that. That's okay. But I just feel like she has to figure that out for herself because I can't make her accept Lord God and Jesus as her Lord and Savior. I know I'm probably saying that wrong. It's been a while since I've been to church, but I can't make her do that. And I feel like only way she's gonna really get it and hold it in and actually take it, not take it for granted, is if she chooses it. So
okay.
Choose what she wanted to.
So as she gets, say, a little bit older, because I know right now she's only one, but you look at her, you would think she's little for one, but Lord, she's a mess. So as she get older, say, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, do you plan on introducing her to Jesus or God or whatever your religious beliefs are? I know you said it's something that you want her to choose for herself, but she has to have some type of start or some type of basis. Something has to be introduced to her. Do you plan on introducing something to her at some point?
I feel like my family mostly would do that. I really feel like because everybody tells me to pray, and I do. I be like, yeah, I'll pray. So I think eventually she'll see me and ask me what I'm doing, or she'll see someone else and ask me, or see a cross and be like, what is this, and things like that. I just want the world to guide her a little bit, because I feel like that's how you find yourself.
Okay, good stuff. All right. So, have you and her father ever given any thought to how you'll school her, or school your baby to come? I know you have a while, but it's definitely going to go fast. I can tell you that. But have you thought about whether you're going to send her to public school or private school?
I feel like public school gets, it gets you ready for life, because it's nothing but the public. It gets you ready for the bullying, because it's going to come no matter how many times people try and stop it. Everybody's going to bully. I know that's a bad thing to say, but I think that sometimes builds character.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I know, but I got bullied and it made me who I am, made me stronger. I'm not saying bullying is cool, but I'm saying like,
it's just something that kids have to go through, unfortunately. Yeah, okay, I got you.
I do want to get her in private school, but I'm just like, it all teaches the same thing. And is it like, do I really, like, what's the point of her really knowing the white presidents? What's the point? Why don't she know her black culture? So I'm really trying to debate if I want to put her in public school or private school, or just I want to homeschool her, figure out a curriculum of, so she can just know some of her black history, because I know we don't really learn that. And then I was watching, I forgot his name, I think his name is Derek Grace on Instagram, and he really, like, I know it's like, it's a lot of guns, But I know I'm not getting into race, but I know it's like he says white people do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They do it in their backyard where they're shooting and they're learning how to defend themselves. And he said one thing that really stuck with me. He says it to his daughter all the time. He says, no one's going to save you. No one's coming to save you.
Mm-hmm.
You must save yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what? Like, that doesn't make
deep.
sense. That
was
don't
real
make sense.
deep.
Like, to actually say to your daughter. I was saying that, and I was like, what? This guy's crazy. Teaching her how to use guns, teaching her about Black history, teaching her all of this stuff. What is that? What is that? But that little girl is smart, and if she knows at the end of the day, no one is coming to save her, she must outthink this and become her own protector. And that's what I feel like we all need to learn.
And that's good that you brought that up, because when I think about, public schools versus private schools versus homeschools, I think they all have their advantages, but I think they also have their disadvantages. Public school, with us being African American women, public school is not teaching our children about their African American heritage. They're teaching them about the African American European heritage. At one point I had
queens and our kings.
Right. At one point I had I was in a relationship with a guy, and he had 2 kids, and so I was helping him take care of his kids. And one day his son came home and he told me, he was telling me about Rosa Parks and why she got arrested. And he got so upset at me because he told me that she was arrested because she didn't want to give up her seat, and she was sitting in the white section, and she didn't want to give up her seat. But I had to educate him and let him know she was sitting in the all Black section. But back in those days, even if all of the seats were completely filled on the bus, even the Black seats, and a white person wanted to sit down, you were still supposed to give your seat. So that white person wanted to sit in what was labeled a colored seat, and she didn't want to give up her seat, not just because her feet hurt, but because she was in her rights at the time of sitting down. And so that just really opened my eyes to what they are teaching our children in school, and it is our responsibility.
You always know, like, and another quote kind of quote me again is, the winner of the war writes the story. And I'm just like, so all our history books, just think about it. Who won the war? That's why they write the books.
That's exactly why they write the books. And it takes for people of color to educate themselves and get tired of them sharing these stories over and over and over again.
I have one more.
Yeah.
I know this is about to go against everybody who's probably going to listen to this, but using that same exact quote, I know everybody's like, what? But think about the Bible too, using that exact same quote. There is a Bible that is written in the tense of a woman. And no one knows that part, because I'm like, men won the war. Look at it today. Just look at it today. Men even get more money on the dollar just for working the same exact job. They won the war. They write the story. If you really want to find the real story, go deep enough back and figure out everything. And that's something that I do want to teach my daughter too. Because and that's another thing that goes for, if you hear the story the first time, you're automatically going to believe the first story you hear, the first version of the story. And it's going to take a lot to change, because you're going to automatically like, well, I heard this, I did this, I did that. And then you're going to want to, like, it's just harder. I don't know. Those are just things that I take into consideration when I'm listening to things or hearing things. And I went to private school my whole life, and just thinking about those quotes, like, who's going to save you, and then whoever won the war wrote the story, it just makes me think, like, did I just waste all this years of my life learning?
You said you went to private or public school?
Public school.
Public school, okay.
Yeah. Did I waste all this time learning? I can't say anything about private school because I haven't been in private school.
But that's like I was saying, each public, private, and homeschool, they all have their, they all have their advantages and they all have their disadvantages.
Public school, social, to get your kids social, like, socialized, great. Great. But it depends on what public school you're in, because there's some areas where the last thing you're worried about is your child getting socialized. You're so worried about your child getting shot, or shot or raped or anything, because some schools are just crazy like that.
Um, like I said, I think that if I was to be blessed to have more children, these are things now, even at 37 and you being so much younger than me, these are now things that I am really starting to look into as deeper than I have when I was your age. So you being your age in your 20s and you're thinking the way that I'm thinking now as a 37-year-old is like, wow, Kia, get with the program. Like, what are you doing? But it really opens my eyes to a lot of things because recently I have been looking for knowledge. You know how everyone talks about being awoke or someone's awoke and that third eye and all of that stuff. And
I did do chakras in high school. I learned to meditate.
yes, chakras is awesome. Even when it comes to parenting, sometimes you gotta like you have to realign yourself. You have to meditate. You have to refocus and then get back to your kids because one thing you don't want to do when it comes to your kids is when you're angry, you don't want to do any kind of discipline. You know, don't take nothing away, don't argue, don't fuss at them, don't do anything because you're just not in the right mind frame to do that.
I think a 2-parent home because Kelsey's always chill. I think I'll be the one that usually will get really angry. Well, no, he gets angry sometimes, and then I'll take over and blame. Well, why did you yell at her? And he'll be like, "You're right." And I think another thing is parents should not be ashamed to apologize because you can be in the wrong sometimes.
Yes, that is so true. That's so true. And I think sometimes parents get so hung up and caught up in being a parent that they forget that even though they're their parent, it's one thing that you're going to always have in common with your child, and that is the fact that you're both human.
Yep, and you're making mistakes. Sometimes
you're both human, yeah.
I feel like because sometimes that's all that is. You don't even have to, apologizing is admitting that you're wrong, and I feel like that's the first step because if your kids, if you raise them to be chilled like you, they would know because I know I noticed that my mom was only human, so I was trying my best. I was always saying she's only human, and I know my stepdad, I'm like, he's only human, we're all only human, so I get it, I understand you lose your temper. Yeah, I understood that. It's just admit your guilt when you're guilty and move forward.
Okay. Awesome. So with you getting ready to have your second baby for me to spoil, I'm so excited. Do you have more of a birthing plan than what you did with the first baby?
Yeah. Do not let anyone tell you what they're gonna do. You do it because at the end of the day, it's your child's life and your life that is at stake. Because I had an epidural inside of me, like no medicine, and with the P word,
Pitocin. They gave you Pitocin.
So, yeah, and you could be nice. I say be nice to all medical staff, but if they're being rude to you and you know you're in pain, speak up, say something. Don't just try and hold it because you in the end will always be the one that's hurting a lot more than they will.
Okay, gotcha. Now, TT, what would you like to say to first-time moms or young moms to give them some inspiration, motivation, courage, or even just strength to get through the day? Because I know sometimes as moms, we feel like the world is on our shoulders. We feel like we just can't make it through another day. We feel like, you know what, just take the kids. Somebody just take the kids. Just take them and, you know. So what's some inspirational words or thoughts you would like to leave with our listeners today?
You got this. It's hard, but you started being a mom the first day you found out you were pregnant. So as soon as the baby gets here, it's nothing new. It's just that person's outside of your body. You got it. You did it that far. It seems difficult because it's like, oh, this, it comes naturally. It really do, because if you love your child, there's nothing in the world that you wouldn't do for them. So, do what you do and don't care what anybody says. That's what I gotta say, because at the end of the day, everybody's gonna judge, and you're the best option for your kid at this point.
All right, so you guys heard it first. She said, do what you gotta do and don't care what anybody else says. So, TT, is there any way that anyone can follow you if they like? Are you on social media? Do you have any platforms? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram as Crystal's Mommy. It's Crystal with a K and a Z _mommy. And then I I'm on Facebook as T Logan.
Okay. So Crystal's mommy on IG and as T Logan on Facebook. I will also put those web addresses at the bottom of this podcast so you guys can just click on that and follow the link. I want to thank you also very much for taking your time out and listening to us. This is the first series on how do you parent. You heard how I myself parent. You also heard how my niece, if you guys didn't know that was my niece, Tamitra, parents her daughter and her soon-to-be baby. I am always looking to interview and just talk to different people, different ages, whether you're different age range or your kids are in different stages of their lives, just to see what your opinions are on parenting. You can definitely keep up with me at organicconversation.com. I'm also on Facebook under Organic Conversations, and I'm on IG as well. I will definitely list those links for you. Thank you guys so much for listening. TT, thank you so much for coming on. And you all have a wonderful day. Until next time, be kind.